to choose, would I invest in ETF or would I invest in real estate? So let's talk about this because I get it every time, and let's put it to rest. Which one builds wealth faster? Because there's one of them that helps you to build your income, and there's the other one that helps you to actually build wealth. So which one helps you to build wealth and which one helps you to build income? Welcome to Money Talk with Dr. Lina. I'm Dr. Lina. I am the doctor of business and technology, and I help professionals turn their income into real wealth. Your 9 to 5 into real wealth. That you die on 9 to 5 income. If all that it does is to pay bills, you keep working and keep trading your time for money. But to build wealth, you have to put it in a form of asset, and which is to two of very important ones that we're talking about today is ETF and real estate. So if I have to invest, which one? Which one helps you? Oh, I'm with you. Hey, Farouk, how are you? Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. And we always try to get to 10,000 likes within the first 10 minutes. So would really appreciate that we keep tapping out so that we can get on the FYP. Appreciate that. And share this with also your friends and your family, even your enemies. They're going to love you thereafter. They stop being your enemy. So if I have to invest, right? If I had to choose, understanding that ETF and real estate, they're two major assets. Of course, there's also businesses, right? But if I have to invest, which one would I invest in? One of them helps you to grow your wealth. The other ones builds your income. So which one? ETF or real estate, right? ETF or real estate. That's what we want to talk about today. And maybe you don't even know what are even ETF. Yeah, that's another level. So you're a beginner investor, you don't even know what ETF are. That's another level. We'll talk about it. You would understand. ETF simply means exchange traded funds. What does exchange traded funds mean? That's what we're going to be talking about. It's a form of investing where you can actually use and grow your money. So welcome. ETF or real estate, which of them are you going to be investing in? Which one builds wealth? Which one builds income, right? Because if all that you do is, who is the diva? It's Dr. Lina. I'm a doctor of business and technology, right? And I do help professionals turn their 9 to 5 into real income, into real wealth, right? That's what I am doing. So if you're just meeting me, subscribe, follow, tap out the like, share, invite your friends because it's a beautiful ride. Everybody loves to build wealth, time wealth, money wealth, health wealth, and of course the peace that comes with it. Because if all that you're doing is to trade your time for money, you are losing your time wealth. If all that you're doing is chasing money, well, you might not also be building your health wealth, right? Because it might be impacting your wealth. So subscribe, follow, follow who knows road, right? There's something that says that follow who knows the way, because if you follow the same step, you probably get the same result. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So today we're talking about ETF and real estate, and that's what we're talking about. Which of them builds wealth? Which of them builds real income? Which one should you put your money in? Because I get this question every single time. Or you don't even know what ETF is, right? You don't know what it is. Then that's why you're here. I want to invest, but I don't know what to invest in. Yes, so we will talk about, you want to lock in, otherwise go into my bio. You would see there's a smart investing workshop that is happening on next week Saturday. It's free, but registration is required. It's smart investing workshop. So welcome everyone. As part of what we talk about here, the first 10 minutes on TT, the first 10 minutes, we want to get to 10,000 likes. So appreciate if you can all tap it out just so we can get on the FYP, get more people here, and they can come to learn how to build your wealth. On the YouTube side, we try to get to at least 20 subscribers every single live. So if you have not subscribed, you have so many things that you're missing. You have so many things to gain than to lose. You want to subscribe because I produce weekly long form videos on Sundays, and also during the week as well. You have daily strategies, real wealth strategies that's going to help you build both the time wealth, the health wealth, the peace wealth, and of course the money wealth. So let's go straight into it. So if you had to choose, would you invest in ETF or would you invest in real estate? Okay, One of those two, they are wealth building strategy. So let's go to the basis and the foundation. If what you do is you take your money and when you get your paycheck, right? We were taught one thing: go to school, get a job, right? And of course, get a good job, fund the lifestyle, and do it till 65, work till 65 and die, right? Basically, and retire and die. That's the whole flow, right? The story of Solomon Gandhi, right? Now, but that is not a purposeful life. How then do you have a purposeful life? What you should do is take some of your income whenever you get that income. Hey, Mr. Ben Farouk, thank you for tapping out the live. And everyone that just joined, thank you so much for doing that. For the likes, for subscribing. Name on YouTube is Money Talk with Dr. Lina. On Instagram is Money Talk with Dr. Lina. On TikTok is Money Talk with Dr. Lina. I am the same thing across board. Yes. So thank you. That's an absolutely great question. So follow, subscribe. So the first thing first is, let's start with your income, because I teach 4 pillars and you need to understand the foundation before we even get into ETF and real estate. The foundation is this: it starts with your income. So except you won a jackpot or you had a generational wealth, it always starts with your income. So you got a skill, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, IT specialist, a nurse, or whatever you are, right? An expert technician, you will get an income. You trade your time, trade your skill for money. When you get that money, if all that you do with that income is to take the money and you fund lifestyle, which is what we were taught, right? Get a nice house, buy a car, do all of this on mortgage. So far you can pay for it, you can get as many credit card as you want, right? But then if that's all that you do, you realize that all you're doing is that you're using your time to pay for the bills. You're just trading your time. You get money, and then guess what? You go and pay the bills, and you do it again and again. And this is one thing that makes people get stuck in the old rat race, in this old 65 or 45-year cycle, working from 40, and before you know it, it's 65, and you're like, okay, where did the time go? And you're wondering. That's because you are just working, not doing, and that's the wrong way. So what's the right way? When you get your income, you take some of that your income, you put it towards, you use some of it to fund your lifestyle. What's that lifestyle? Your housing, your rent, your mortgage. That's where you put the money. Your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, your utilities, your what else again? Your transportation. Those are the basic needs of life. Anything outside of that, it's an extra. Anything outside of these 4 things, I call it the 4 walls, is just an extra. So once you finance that, then you go into the next big thing, which is your wealth, part. Here is the liability part. Here is the lifestyle. This is taking money from you. I call it the depreciating lifestyle liability. Now you go into this other quadrant, which is called the appreciating cash flowing asset. This is the wealth quadrant, right? So this is income. This is liability quadrant. This is asset stroke wealth quadrant. So you take some of the money and you put it in your wealth quadrant. Why do I call it the wealth quadrant? Because here is liability. Liability is anything that takes money from you. Anything. So your rent, all of those things that I mentioned, all of that takes money from you and never gives you money in return. However, this quadrant is called the wealth, right? It's called the asset, right? Because if you put money into it, it's going to give you money in return. It's just like a woman, right? You give the woman, a man meets a woman, they produce a baby, just like that. That's just the same way. You put your cash into wealth, you're definitely going to generate something. It's just also like a seed. You put a seed in the ground, it germinates, right? That is what you want to do. This one is just the fruit. You are just eating the fruit of your labor, but then it's not growing anything. But here, it's a seed that's going to germinate, and then you can now start eating the fruit. So this is real foundation. And I'm spending some time on this because you see, if you miss this foundation, you realize that whatever we are even talking about, ETF or real estate would not even matter because you wouldn't have anything to even put into ETF or real estate, right? Now, this quadrant is the one that is important, right? Because you take this income, you put some of it in this asset side. This asset side is called appreciating cash flowing asset because it appreciates, it puts money in your pocket. This is called depreciating lifestyle liability. It depreciates, it takes money out of your pocket. That's basically what it does. So you want to fund something, right? I want to believe everybody will want to fund something that will put money in their pocket, not the one that will take money out of your pocket. The same way you went to school and you are being paid on that income, that's the same way. So what should you do? You want it to be as much as possible. This quadrant, which is the asset, you want to be as much as possible. Mary St. Clair, thank you so much for joining. Louise, thank you for joining. And we're trying to get to 10,000 likes within the first 10 minutes. We already know that for the OGs, but people that are just joining, 10,000 likes. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe on the YouTube channel as well. You have so many things to gain than to lose. Otherwise, I mean, what are you even doing with the subscription? It just takes nothing from you. And the same thing, if you haven't followed, you have so many things to gain than to lose. And turn on the notification bell so you know whenever I'm live, okay? All right, so we're talking about ETF or real estate today. That's what we're talking about. One builds wealth and the other one builds income. That's the other builds income, okay? And before then, we're now talking about the foundation. How do you even get into that? And that's what we're talking about, asset and liability. Your income could be used towards asset, it could be used towards liability. You want to use as much of your income towards asset because asset puts money into your account, give you money back. Liability doesn't, right? It takes money from you, never returns anything. So this asset, what are these assets? Example of this asset is investing in the stock market. Another example is real estate. Another example is businesses. Now, this top three that I talked about, those are the top three where the wealthy put their money, right? Those top three are where the wealthy put their money. You will not see penny stock. You will not see what's it called? You won't see penny stock. You definitely will not see day trading. You would maybe a little bit later, down, but you would see something at artworks. You would see something like antiques. That is where they put their money, okay? But number 1, 2, 3, real estate, the stock market, and businesses. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. We're not going to go to number 4. We're looking at the top 3. Top 2 is ETF and real estate, and that's what we're talking about today, okay? Now, this asset that we're talking about, which is ETF and real estate, you want to put as much of your income because it puts money into your pocket more, right? 30 to 50% of your income. If you cannot do that, have that number in mind. So whenever you get salary increase, you change your job. Coach Miguel, welcome. You change your job, you do anything, you realize that you are just basically, you are intentional about putting more away in this asset quadrant, not the liability. And that is how you grow wealth, okay? That's how you grow wealth. Now, having established the foundation, think about it. If you take some of your income, you put it into asset, this asset start growing and it start giving you cash flow. This cash flow, what does it do? Remember, it's a triangle. Then you can now start using the cash flow to fund the lifestyle. It is something called delayed gratification. Instead of you coming from here to liability directly, which is what we were taught in school, you go from here to this quadrant, which is asset. Asset will do something, produce something called cash flow. This cash flow now funds your lifestyle, and that is how you grow wealth. Because guess what? You are now, something else is here. It requires you to trade your time for money. Your income requires you to trade your time for money. But here, which is the asset, it doesn't require you. It's your money that is now working, that is now giving you cash flow that you are using to fund the lifestyle. If only you can delay the gratification a little bit. And a lot of times, it is very little. Now, having said that, which of this asset, which of them grows wealth and which of them doesn't, right? Which of one grows wealth, which one of them doesn't, which of them builds income and which of them doesn't. Thank you so much for tapping out the live. Oluwala and every other person, we try to get to 10,000 likes within the first 10 minutes so that we can get on the FYP. So it costs you nothing. It just costs you tap, tap, tap. And if you've been sitting here for the past 5 minutes, you enjoy it, feel free, get your daily admin. It costs you 1 cent, but it's more beneficial to you and beneficial to here as well. And on the YouTube as well, it's Money Talk with Dr. Lina. Tap out the live, and of course, subscribe if you haven't, right? And if you're just meeting me for the first time, I'm Dr. Lina. I'm Doctor of Business and Technology. I help professionals turn their 9 to 5 into real wealth. Understanding that your 9 to 5, you keep doing it. What you just keep doing is you just keep working, paycheck to paycheck, and you realize that you're not building anything. Before you know it, it's already 65 and you've not grown wealth. Okay? But how then you grow wealth? It's about what you do with that income. That's basically what is important, which is asset. Basically, that is what is going to help you build income, build your wealth. All right, having said that, thank you so much for tapping out the live. All right, so let's break it down, right? Put in I just want to know, which one do you think builds wealth? Which one do you think builds income? Put in the chat, stock or ETF. Stock or ETF, which one do you think builds wealth? Which one do you think builds income? Stock or ETFs? I mean, stock or real estate? Stock or real estate? And I get this every single time. ETF, okay. All right, ETF builds what? ETFs builds what? Okay, you are a stock person. Okay, ETF, real estate. Okay, real estate. Which one builds? Or are you a stock person? Are you a real estate person? Just basically, just which one are you? Stocks. Okay, Oluwala says stock. Okay, who is a real estate? Who are the real estate guys? Team real estate. Team real estate. Put in the comment and let's keep tapping out the live. Let's keep tapping out the live. Okay. Let's Coach Miguel, Farouk, Oluwala, Strength, Papinkin. Welcome. Let's real estate. Farouk says real estate. Okay, so we have 50-50. That's great. I like that. Let's keep it coming. And on the YouTube side, let's not be quiet. I know we're here. Team stock, team real estate. Okay, right? If you have to pick or choose, which one would you pick? Stock or real estate? So Oluwa says stocks. Farouk says real estate. Okay, whichever way, there's no right or wrong answer because everything. I also do real estate, but stock is doing better return in if you understand it. Okay, all right, perfect. But thank you so much for that perspective. However, in here, we don't get to pick and choose. We talk about what's the pros, what's the cons, right? Because there's a reason, there's something called diversification. Diversification is what helps you to hedge against several risks, right? The risk in real estate, the risk in the stock market, that's how you protect your money, right? So there's no wrong or right answer, but we'll just talk about what's the pro of each and what is the cons of each. When should you invest in each and when should you not invest? When is the right time, right? When is the right time? And let's keep tapping out the live. Let's tap out the live. Thank you so much for doing that. I know we are all locked in. And also, let's power share. Let's share with our friends, our enemies, and everyone. Let them come and learn, right? So basically, what is ETF? Okay, for people that are beginners, ETF is just a basket of stocks. What are stocks? Stock is a way that you can invest in a particular company. All right, that is okay. For instance, you want to invest in Coca-Cola, right? Soda, right? You want to invest in it, but of course we know it's worth billions of dollars. You can still invest with it, even with your as little as $1, and then you still grow your $1. You can invest with your 100,000, with whatever amount you have. You just buy a portion of Coca-Cola and you own Coca-Cola. You move from being a consumer of Coca-Cola to the owner of Coca-Cola, because being the owner that's the perfect spot, and that's where you want to be. Okay, that's where you want to be. Awesome. Now, having said that, so that is stock is a way you invest in a particular company. By the way, we've talked about it as part of your foundation. Relearn, unlearn, and relearn. Ensure that you are not, as much as you're saving your money, you are making sure that you are moving from the earners category to being an owner, because being an owner is what is going to help you grow wealth, right? Meaning you buying ETF, you buying businesses, you buying real estate. That moves you from being an earner to being an owner. So that is number two, right? Number one, in terms of the foundation, is what? Save your money, put it towards asset, use a little bit towards depreciating lifestyle liability. The second thing is that move from being an owner to being an earner. So for those people taking notes, I know we are all taking notes, and let's keep tapping out the life. Let's get it to 2,000. Can we get it to 2,000 taps? Can we get it to 2,000 taps? And let's power share one more time again. All right. Having said that, ETF, on the other hand, we said stock is a way you can own a part of a company. You can buy. Gone are the days when we say, oh, you know what, we want fraction. I mean, you have to buy, you have to have the full amount. So let's say Coca-Cola is $500. You need to have $500 to buy a unit of Coca-Cola. But life is so beautiful right now. Anybody can invest. You can buy fractional shares in terms of dollar value of Coca-Cola, dollar value of Amazon, dollar value of Nvidia. You don't have to buy the full amount. It is something called fractional shares. Now, having said that, ETF, right? Because we're saying stocks, right? What then is ETF, right? ETF is a collection, a basket, a bouquet of stocks. So we just talk about individual stocks, right? Individual, right? Like Coca-Cola, we just talked about that. Now think about it. We are not just buying Coca-Cola. We are buying Coca-Cola. Bayobi, welcome. Ed, thank you so much. And I know you know the drill. Tapping out the live to 10,000 likes in the first 10 minutes. I know we already went past 10 minutes and we're not there. But let's keep tapping out like. Really appreciate that, just so we can get on the FYP. All right, thank you so much. I know we are locked in, but let's keep tapping out the live. Let's not miss that because it just helps others. It helps this life as well. Now, ETF is exchange traded funds. You can hear it as exchange traded funds. You can also hear it as index funds. Potato. The difference between the two of them is they're both of them as basket of stocks. So think about it. It's a fund that houses many stocks. So we have Coca-Cola, but then there's Nvidia, there's tech in there. There is Exxon Energy. There is retail in there. There's Costco. There is all of these industries in one, right? In one basket. That's just one example of ETF. One example of ETF, right? Now, the very popular one, S&P 500. It simply means the top 500 company in the United States at point in time. What does that mean? Point in time is very critical. It means that they are being reevaluated every single quarter. It's not like you get there one time and you think that, oh, you know what, now I'm S&P 500, I have relaxed. No, you keep competing against every other company in the United States to remain in that top 500. Of course, if you don't get into 500, if you don't meet the performance in terms of your returns, your books, in terms of your asset, in terms of your cash flow, in terms of your operating cash, in terms of your your asset and your liability, your expense and your income account. If your revenues and your return on your investment, it's not looking great, you would drop off. And of course, reputation, because there's also goodwill. If all of that, if you can fall off the S&P 500 because they are reevaluated. So it simply means, an example of ETF, you are buying the the best in class companies in the United States. So why is this a better option, or why are people raving about it? I'm sure you'd have heard it, and if you have not heard it, know that a lot of people are raving about it. The reason why they're raving about it is you are investing in the best of the best. right? So if you invest in the best of the best, your chances of you losing your money is pretty minimal. And that's why I call this this is the strategy that is very like a Warren Buffett uses. You can Google him. The multimillionaire uses it. Reason why they use it is because there's a form of safety, right? Because understand that if you put your money in the stock market, in the savings account, Bank of America, Chase, or Wells Fargo, all your bank in all of your countries, right, if all that you do, you put your money in there, what you realize is that you're getting, like in the US, you get about 0.01%. That's what you get in your savings account, right? That, to bring it to perspective, that is $1 for every 10,000 that you put in there a whole year. So you're definitely not growing your money. Unfortunately, I wish, $1, that's where it ends. That, okay, at least I'm not growing, but my money is there. Guess what? You are actually losing money. How do you lose money, right? Aside from the fact that it's not growing, you're also losing money. How do you lose money? You lose money to the fact that you are getting you're only getting 0.01% increase, right? Interest, right? But guess what? You are also losing money to inflation, which you cannot control. Inflation is macro or micro, yeah, right? Because it is the economy, right? The US economy right now, the inflation rate is at 3.3%. In so many other countries, in Africa, in Nigeria, it's in double digits, right? And if you're wondering what inflation means, just to put it to perspective, inflation means the rate at which you are losing your money. Your purchasing power reduces by 3% year in, year out. It means that if you take $100 or you take $100 last year to buy something, this year it has reduced by $3.33. That's basically what it is, right? So whenever you hear inflation, you're actually losing money. But guess what? You are growing it at 0.01%, but you are losing at 3.3%. So at times when you think that I'm making money, but I still feel financially stuck. It's not because you're not doing something right. It might just because you are not thinking about all of these ways that you're losing money, even though it's very soft, you don't know, but you're losing money through that means. So it is important, it is pertinent for you to actually find a way to build your money, find a way to grow your money. Grow it is the word. Find a way, because you're losing it. Either you put it just there sitting there, you are losing it to 3.3%, and you have zero control over it. It's the microeconomy, macro, right? Economy, right? Right there. Now, how then do you hedge against this inflation? Because you want to have at the minimum have 3.3% to maintain a balance of your money every single year, right? So how do you balance it? The way you balance it and grow it, even not growing, balance it is the minimum, right? Is high yield savings account. High yield savings account, like a Capital One, will give you 3.3%, right? That one meets the inflation, right? They put it as inflation. It means that you're not growing your money, but you're not losing it either. It's just your regular bank account. It's nothing. If you put your money in Bank of America, Capital One, everybody knows it. It's just high yield savings account. Now, there are some other ones, like SoFi would give you 4%. Like a Vero will give you 5%. Some of them are online banks. You just need to go check it. Go and Google the best high yield savings account in 2020, in April or May 2026, and you see, pick whatever one, read your reviews, open the account, ensure that you don't put in more than 250,000 in a singular account, because the level of protection you get is $250,000, which is the FDIC insurance that covers your money, right? Make sure it is also FDIC insured, regardless of the interest. Make sure, because protection comes first, okay? So that is by the side. That is a number one way. You don't want to do any other thing, but you also want to make sure that you're not growing your money, but it is just making sure that you're edging against inflation. It's not growing your money. How then do you protect your money and still grow it? That's where ETFs comes in, right? ETF It's a basket of stocks, right? Basket of stocks. Why is that? Because you are not buying individual stock. When you buy individual stock, it's not, I won't call it gambling, because if you do your research, the chances of growing is high. But you can also lose your money. There's a 50-50 chance that you lose your money. You can grow your money or you can lose your money, right? When it comes to stock. But at the same time, when it now comes to ETF, you are buying multiple of stocks with that same money. $1, $100, $200,000. You are using that same money to buy multiple stocks. What does that do for you? Diversification, spreading of your risk. It changes from the angle of 50-50, right? It's no longer a 50-50. It's now spread across multiple stocks that is within that portfolio. So that is the reason why you have the multimillionaires and billionaires put their money. That's the reason why a lot of people are now raving about ETF. It might not grow. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. But guess what? It keeps your money protected, and then it gives your money growth. Because if you leave it time in the market and you let compounding do its job, there's something called the rule of 72. In less than 7 years or less, your money doubles. Think about it. It's not just the fact that your money is protected, your money also double. Remember, if you leave it in a bank account, your money gets protected, but not fully protected because inflation is eating it. But at the same time, you're losing value, but it's not growing. If you grow it, just to bring it to perspective, 0.01%, if you put $10,000, you get $1. For your money to double, just using the rule of 72, it's going to take you 144,000 years. No, 144 years for your money to double if you leave it in the bank. That means in your entire lifetime, your money is never going to double, right? You can't be if you even start at age 1, you can. So that's what it means, right? However, if you put it in an S&P 500, which is like the basic, S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the United States, and that's one type of ETF, and I'm just using it as an example. If you put it in an S&P 500, it returns between 8 to 12%. It's returned that for the past averagely, emphasis on averagely, for the past 30, 40 years. So what do you have there? Trend, right? There is trend. There is statistics right there for you. So you know that, okay, I can put my money, I can sleep with my 2 eyes closed. Compound interest is going to do jail. And as a matter of fact, that rule of 72 is at the barest minimum, less than 8%, right? That's how you double your money. So it means that if it's at 10%, at 12%, what does it mean? It means that in lesser years, 5 years or less, your money is going to double. And that is how what? That's how you build wealth. That's a simple strategy. But you know what happens? And the people will like, oh, you know what? But it's that simple. Is that less? Yes, because people want something overnight. People want to get rich overnight. People don't want to wait. 5 years sounds like a long time. But think about it. If you put your $100,000, in 5 years, it becomes $200,000. In 10 years, it becomes how much? Your 100,000 becomes 400,000. In 15 years, it becomes 800,000. In 20 years, it becomes how much? It becomes 1.6 million. The same $100. And that's why they call 100,000. That's why they always say that compound interest is the 8th magic wonder of the world. It is because it grows your money, especially when it gets to the year 10, year 15, year 20. Oh my God, you'll be like, how? It will be like, is there somebody putting money? You just think like, oh my goodness, this is how my money is doubling. But the only thing is called something delayed gratification. Time in the market versus you saying, oh, you know what? Let me buy today, let me sell tomorrow. Let me do this, let me do that. Like, let me do options trading. Let me do options trading. And thank you all for tapping out the live. Thank you so much for tapping out the live. Thank you for inviting your friends over. Thank you for getting your daily at me. And of course, the Go Populars as well. That'll be much appreciated because it also gets here popular. Jennifer A, welcome, and every other person joining. So basically, ETF, like I said, exchange traded funds, is just a basket of many stocks in it. So like I said, S&P 500 is one, right? There are so many other ones. There's S&P 1000. In case you've not heard that, it just meets the top 1000 companies. There's the ETF for energy. It just has energy. There's the ETF for crypto. Yes. There's the ETF for, they're just for real estate. It's called REIT. There is the ETF for dividend stock. So what differentiates one ETF from the other? What differentiates one ETF from the other? The differences between them is this particular ETF, right? What they have in there. Remember, top 500 companies. Now it means that S&P 1000 will be top 1000 company. It means that energy, it will be all energy companies. And then the other difference that you would see is who manages those funds, right? Because company A or brokerage A might manage this fund. Brokerage B might manage this fund. Brokerage C, they are still doing, let's put an example, like an S&P 500. Brokerage 1, right? Brokerage one, right? Like a Vanguard tracks an S&P 500, and the popular one, VOO. S&P 500 that is managed and tracked and managed by Vanguard, that is VOO. The popular VOO. Everybody, except you're a beginner investor, that's when you don't know VOO. And then the other part of SPY, it's managed by State Street. IVV also tracks S&P 500. All of those three tracks S&P 500, top 500 company, and they all IVV is by BlackRock, and they have returned this almost averagely the same thing, right? So whichever way you put money, it's good. Whichever one you're comfortable with, just do your research and just search the best two S&P 500 funds. You find it right there, right? It's not complicated. It's easy, right? But a lot of time we just want to complicate it, because every single day I get to hear, Dr. Lina, which stock should I pick and choose? Which stock should I pick? So, and that is the benefit. It answers that question. You don't need to pick and choose. Why do you want to pick and choose? Variety is the spice of life, right? Variety is the spice of life. So have multiple, right? And there you spread your risk. You diversify your portfolio. And that is how it works. Let's keep tapping out the live and let's power share. Let us power share one more time. Let's invite our friends. Let's invite our friend. Let's tap out the live. Let's get into 5,000 taps. Let's get it. We can, right? The other day, on Friday, we got to 60,000. Let's do that. Farouk, Coach Miguel, Bayobi, Olua, Ade, welcome. And Lanto, user Jennifer A. Let's tap out the live. I know we are all locked in. Whenever we're teaching, I know we're locked in. But as we are locking in, let's keep tapping. Let's not forget. And let's do power share. If you are new to the TikTok, he's here. Press my forehead on the screen, right? On the screen. Then your contact comes up and you just share with all of them. Let them come and learn. Let them come and learn this strategy that actually works. So why is ETF a good form of investing? Like I said, diversification. The other pro of it is it's so easy to start. All right, it's easy. You can literally open your account right now and with a brokerage firm, and you can start funding the account immediately and start buying your ETF. One other question that I get is, how easy is it to buy and liquidate? Very easy. Just the same way like stocks. You can buy it during the trading window between 8 Eastern time, right, to 3 p.m. Within that window, buy and trade within that. Sell and trade within that. You can buy it right now and sell immediately. That is the beautiful part of it. It's almost close to liquid. The other thing is it's easy to start. Low barrier entry. Like I said, you can so easily open the account the same day, get it funded the same day, start investing the same day. That is how easy it is. And the other part of it is long-term growth. Long-term growth. Because think about it, like I said, 5 years compounding, the power of compounding, right? That is it, because it just helps you. And then it is passive, right? Especially if you set it and it's automated, you put automation and all of that, you would find it that you find it right there for you. It's so easy. You set it one time and boom, it's done. You might not touch it ever again for another 10, 20 years. You're just looking, right? You are just looking and you are just growing your wealth. Thank you so much for tapping out the live. Yeah, so we're talking, and for those that are just joining, we're talking about ETFs or real estate. Which one should you invest in? Which one helps you? One of them helps you to build income. The other one helps you to build wealth. Which of them? And which one do you invest in? Which one should you invest in as a beginner? Which one should you invest in as a pro or at every stage in life? That is what we're talking about. An ETF is an exchange traded fund, a basket of stocks, right? Multiple stocks in one fund managed by the fund manager, and the fees are typically very low. They are between 0.0 to 0.01 to 0.05%. So unlike a managed fund account, if you have a personalized managed account, that is in the ones and the 1.5, which takes a lot of money from you. Safo, welcome, and thank you for tapping out the live. Let's get it to 5,000 taps. Let's get it. So that is the benefit of ETF. And you might be wondering, so how do I get it started? I don't know how to get it started. It sounds fascinating, right? It sounds really good. It sounds too good to be true. It's not too good to be true. Just go on Google and search it. You can easily find, just read about ETF and you would understand the power of ETF. An index fund, on the other hand, is the same thing, tracks the same thing, but the only difference is that, like I said, ETF, you can trade it like stocks, like stock, right? But when it comes to index funds, it is traded. If you sell it right now, you get it at the end of the day. Depify, welcome. Thank you for tapping out the live. You are an OG. You know what to do. And let's keep tapping out the live. We're trying to get to 10,000 likes. Okay. Thank you for doing that. And if you're new and you're just meeting Dr. Lina, I'm Doctor of Business and Technology, and I help professional turn their 9 to 5 into real wealth. That's what we do here. Turn the 9 to 5 into real wealth. Understanding that if what you do with your income, your 9 to 5 income, if what you do with it is to fund lifestyle, right? Depreciating lifestyle, what you're going to keep, you will never get financial freedom. And financial freedom is the goal, ability to live life at your own terms, right? Working because you want to work, not because you have to work to pay bills, okay? So welcome. Subscribe if you haven't, follow if you haven't, because you have a whole lot of things to get. So if you're wondering and you have been worried, you don't know how to start with your ETF investing, we have a smart investing workshop coming this coming Saturday. It's free, but registration is required. We have very limited seat, and once that limited seat is gone, it's occupied, then we take out the slot. So you can find it right here. You click on it, nestyou.me, click it, this is my bio. Click on it, you would see it would say open anyway, and then you will find it right here. It's free, but registration is required, right? And the purpose of a training is it's not a training, I keep saying that, it's a workshop, right? It's very hands-on, right? It is very hands-on. The only concern is, if your brokerage firm doesn't allow trading over the weekend, then you will get all of this information and you can go use it. But the goal is that right there in that life, you are able to get all of your, you can put all of the asset class, the ETFs that you want to put in there, set it up, set the automation, and do it one time, and you're good to go, right? You're basically good to go, and you will know that at least Dr. Lina helped you set it up. That is the goal. It's very hands-on. It's a hands-on session. It is not it's not a training. So it's going to be hands-on, okay? So you want to register. If you haven't registered, once the class is full, like I said, we just have few seats available. It's almost done. We just started talking about it last week Thursday, and we have very few limited seats available now. And for those people that joined my real estate bootcamp, you know how intense it is. You know what you got out of it, even though it's free. I teach it like you paid 1,000 because it is worth more than 1,000. You teach it like you paid 10,000 because I give it my all. My goal is for you to, I'm genuinely concerned about you. I want you to build wealth. It is the strategy has helped me build wealth, and I'm just using the same thing to bless others. Okay, so there's no catch, no catch. Just register, and you are going to once you get registered, it's going to require you to go and open your bank account, your brokerage account is going to give you all of the different options. If you want to make sure that you get the best out of the class, like I said, it's hands-on. You want to have all those accounts. So if you're in the US, you have the US options, right? If you're in the UK, you have the UK, or I mean the UK and Europe in general. You have the options. You have, I mean, a long list of brokerage firms that you can actually open. If you're in Canada, you have that as well. If you're in Africa, you have that as well. First, you're welcome, and Ev Mas Nape, welcome. If you have that, so you want to register, and I'll show it one more time. The Smart Investing Workshop, we're going to all talk about smart investing, which is the ETF, how to get your account open, start investing in ETF, because that is a way you can grow your wealth. You see it, nestyou.me. It's free, but registration is required. Open anyway. Click on the open anyway, and you'll see it right here with my beautiful face, right? And it's Smart Investing Workshop. Turn your income into real estate, into real wealth, right? Because you're 9 to 5. Leech, welcome. It's been a minute. Because if all that you do is to take your income and you're not investing it, you realize that it's not going to grow. This is the way you can grow your money while not exposing it to as much risk in the stock market. It's in the stock market, but diversification is the principal thing that help you here, right? So it's ETF, very key, easy to start, easy, low barrier entry, long-term investing, helps with diversification. The risk is lower compared to individual stocks. Many more things that we can talk about ETF. No fees because the funds are the cost of fund managing it is very low, 0.01 to 0.05, right? Depending on the firm. And just to bring to perspective, is return 8 to 12%, like an S&P 500 return 8 to 12% in the past 30-40 years. The Nasdaq 100 return between 18 to 22%, even though the higher the risk, the higher the return, right? The return is higher, so is also the risk. And that is technology companies. Dividend ETF, that also give you some, what's it called? It gives you dividends, right? Basically right there. And that is the beauty of ETF. Now let's go to the other one. Real estate. Real estate is the other one. Real estate, and let's tap out the life before, let's get it to 5,000 or get it to 3,000 before we move to real estate. Sylvie Financial, welcome. Mayobi, thank you for tapping out the life. Let us, ETF, and also I know that some people step out to go and register. Yes, go register. It's okay. We would wait for a little bit for you to go register. If you have to go register, if you want me to show it one time again, just so you can go and register, it's more. You would see it on my page, nestyou.me. Click on the link. I think that's about the only link right there. Click on it and go and Smart Investing Workshop. Click on it. It's free, but registration is required. That is one of the best or one of the training or life-changing training or workshop that you would ever have. A life-changing workshop that you ever have. I tell you that. And guess what? It is free, but it requires registration. So I don't want a situation where people would say, oh, it's because of money, that's why I'm not investing. So you can invest with $1. You have the free training. I don't know how to get started. The Smart Investing Workshop, it's on Saturday, 12 noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't know the time in your country, once you register, you get an email. And in the email, it has all of the different time zones so you don't miss it. And you would also get reminders, automated reminders on the training as well, so you don't miss it. Please do not register if you know you will not attend, because like I said, we have very limited seats. And once the class is full, it's full. If you're welcome to the party. So let's keep tapping out the live. Let's get it to Can we get it to 5,000? Let's tap out the live. Let's tap out the live. Is there a reason why we're not tapping, though? I know we are locked in. I know we are locked in, but is there another reason aside being locked in? Let's just tap it. It doesn't cost you anything. It just costs you like tap tap. It just costs you your finger. Can you show the website again? Okay, it's here. And I know some people stepped out to go. So you find it on my, see right here. You find it here on the display on my bio right here. Just click on it. It's called nesu.me/Money Talk with Dr. Lina. Yeah, so you see it right there. Hi, Elf here. Click open anyway, right? And then you would have it right here, right here. And let me see if I can also try to see if I can have it. Hello, Ify. Let me try to see if I can put it on the pin. Let me see. So I'm here just in case. I just want to copy the link and just. All right, so I'm back. Let me see. How do I? Let me see. Okay. I'm putting it in here. Okay, so and I just pinned it here. Hi, Ify, welcome. I hope I'm able to pin, or you'd see it here. And I know a lot of people are, so you see it right there. Welcome, welcome everyone. Ify, welcome, and let's keep tapping out the live. Can we get it to 5,000? Awesome. So we just talked about ETF, right? Exchange traded funds. Now let's go to the other one. The other one is, I call it the wealth engine, right? I call it the real estate, and I don't want to give it away. It's real estate. Let's keep tapping out the life. I know we are locked in. Real ETF, right? I said we're talking about two things: ETF for real estate, right? We just talked about ETF, the advantages. Easy to start, low barrier, delay, what's it called? Diversification, long-term growth, easy entry, minimum, just little amount to start. Those are the benefits of ETF, right? Now let's go to real estate. Real estate, on the other hand, it's something called, one of the benefits of real estate is you want cash flow, right? You don't want to invest in a property, and with that property, you are getting money every single month. That is cash flow. That's one of the benefits of real estate. The number two is leverage. What does leverage mean? With real estate, you can actually put 20% down, 3.5% down, 3% down, 5% down, which is as low as $10,000, and you control an asset worth 200,000, 300,000, just with as little as $10,000, $12,000, right? That's inclusive of closing costs. You can own a property of $250,000. That is the beauty of real estate. You can do that with ETF. ETF, you want to have it at 3. You want to have you want to buy ETF worth of 200,000. You better have $200,000 in your account. So there is a structure, and this is, there's FHA loan, there is other kind of loan, there's the VA loans, there's DCSR loans, there are different kind of loans, right? Conventional loans that you don't need. Once they have your income, they have your credit, and of course you have these little down payments, boom, you have the property in your name, right? Leverage. So first is cash flow. What is the cash flow that I talked about? The second is leverage, but this first is cash flow. Cash flow simply means that you buy a house, you rent it out, and of course, Leach, congratulations, you just got on your purchase. Congratulations to you. Yeah, and every other person that is doing it, now we have more limited seats available, right? So if you need to step out to go and get your registration done, Get it done. We're here. I can repeat it right after. Wiz, thank you for the follow. And you have not followed. If you have not followed, now is your time to follow. If you haven't subscribed on my YouTube channel as well, it's Money Talk with Dr. Lina. And on Instagram, show some love as well. Money Talk with Dr. Lina everywhere. Awesome. And get your slot on the Smart Investing Workshop on Saturday. 5 more days to go. All right. So, what else? So, think about the cash flow. When it comes to cash flow, when it comes to real estate, the cash flow is you buy a house using the bank's money. Remember, we talked about the leverage, 10% down payment, 5%. Thank you so much for that. 10% down payment, 5% down payment, or whatever, right? And because of that, you are able to control a property of 250,000. The rent is automatically 1% rule. The rent should be about 2,500. Now you pay the bank, maybe the mortgage 2,000 and the rent 2,500. You get a cash flow of $500 every single month. Think about it, 500 times 10 properties, that's $5,000 right there, right? That is cash flow, real estate. You won't get that except for dividends, right? Dividends ETF, you will not get that with ETF. But with real estate, you still own the property, you're using other people's money, right? And then you're getting the benefit right there. So Jana, welcome. And I've not forgotten, you should get that email today. So then this other thing is appreciation. Real estate doubles its value every 10 years. The same thing with ETF, it doubles its value with the rule of 72 every 7 years, right? It does that or less. Real estate does 10 years. But on top of that, remember, you're using leverage. Remember, you're getting cash flow, right? But then the other beautiful thing is that every single time that the leverage that you use, every single time that you use the tenant's money to pay that mortgage back, the leverage, right? Whenever you're paying the 2,000, remember, you're reducing your loan. What does that mean? When you're using the tenant's money to pay off your loan, but whenever you pay that loan, what does that mean? You are building equity. There's something called equity. You are building equity in that property. Equity in itself is cash for you. It's cash. It's real cash, right? And whose money are you using to reduce that loan? It is the tenant's money that you are using it to release, and you are the one enjoying the cash, right? What does it mean? What does cash equity mean? It simply means that this money, let's assume that after 5 years or 10 years, every single month you have been paying $2,000. That's $12,000 you would have paid, right? Of course, let's assume interest and all of that. Let's say $10,000 every single year. It means that in 10 years you would have paid $100,000. You can easily go to the bank. I mean, remember, it's the tenant's money, right, that you used to pay the bank. In 10 years, you can easily go to the bank and say, I want some of this equity that I have there. Remember, you did not sell the property. The property is still yours. You still enjoy appreciation. But guess what? You can easily take that cash and use it to buy another asset. That is how you grow wealth. That is how you replace your income, right, with cash flow. Okay? So, appreciation, equity. The other thing that this is, as a matter of fact, there is no limit. There's no limit to what you can make there. It's something called taxes. Taxes, we talked about this yesterday. Taxes is a way that you can reduce your taxable, what you are being taxed today. Your taxes that you pay to IRS, right? This year, it can be reduced heavily by next year, right? You're not doing anything wrong. It's within using the tax code to reduce your taxes, right? Especially for high income earners. If you are within those 25%, 32%, I met somebody with 37% yesterday in terms of taxes, right? I had a friend and a client pay $70,000 in taxes. But then with real estate, you were able to reduce your taxes. She was able to reduce from $70,000 to $10,000 the following year just by buying 2 real estate properties in the following year. Even though she made more income, at least she made over another 6-figure on top of what she made the previous year. That is what taxes can do for you. Mr. Gregory said, equity is the net worth of the income of home when you subtract how much you owe from the value of the income. Absolutely. So well said. Yeah, that's it. So whenever the property appreciates, and of course, whenever you are paying, reducing your loan because you're using tenants' money, between the appreciation, the value of the property minus how much you owe the bank, that is equity, right? Basically, in summary, if you want to know the calculation right there, that is what equity is. So think about, so taxes, you can definitely reduce your taxes. Reduce your taxes by your taxes that you pay in W2 or your 1099 by just simply having real estate. That is a win-win, and you're not doing anything wrong. That's how Mr. Trump is able to pay. You might be paying more taxes than him because he has all of the Trump towers. Those are real estate, and he uses it to reduce his taxes. That's why he will pay lesser taxes than Obama, because he has more in real estate, right? So many things I came with my tax form or whatever, my tax form the other day, just to show, including professional fees, including legal fees, including travel, including transportation, including cleaning. Those are so many things that you can claim in terms of taxes, deduction. You're brilliant, Doctor. Now, how great we are. Thank you so much, Mr. Gregory. You do the same thing, by the way. And Mr. Gregory retired at the age of 52 or 53. You have still not confirmed it. And he's also into well-building coaching. All right. He's building his website right now. So be on the lookout for him. Just see what he's doing out there. There's knowledge from everywhere. And that's how you build. There's no knowledge that is lost. Okay? So basically, thank you so much for that, for the kind words, Mr. Gregory. So having said that, so think about it. You are also getting tax deduction. As a matter of fact, I got over $20,000 back from on real estate this year, even with a vice president job, role, income, or whatever you want to call it, or a professor teaching AI cybersecurity and deep learning, doing that too, because I manage and own double-digit real estate portfolio. So if you are seeing that you are paying so much taxes, then there's no reason why you should not invest in real estate. You won't get that with ETF, right? Now, talking about the pros and the cons, right? You won't get that with ETF, but you will definitely get this with real estate. Tax deductions, right? Tax benefit. Anybody that has any six-figure income, that's a reason, right, why a lot of your friends or your people are in real estate and you don't know the reason why. That's part of the reason. And you're not violating anything. It's just within the tax code. And that's why you would see every multi-millionaires and the billionaires, every one of them would have a significant portion of their investment in real estate. Because aside the fact that the money is growing, aside the fact that you get appreciation, you get equity, you get cash flow, you get leverage, you are using it to significantly reduce your taxes, right? That you get. And the last one that I talked about, so that's 5 paychecks right there, 5, right? The last one is using other people's money, right? You're using the IRS money, you're using tax money to pay yourself, right? To get money back and use it on another investment. You are using the tenant's money because to pay down your mortgage, to pay down your property, right? It's you own the property, but somebody else is paying for it, right? And then guess what? You also are using who else's money? You're using the bank's money. Yes, you are paying interest. And by the way, you see that interest that you are running around and saying that, oh, the interest is also tax deductible. That HOA is tax deductible. That, what else again? Repairs is tax deductible, right? You never know, right? Those property taxes that you say, oh, it's too high, tax deductible. So why, and all of this thing that I'm putting out there for free, trust me, people are paying thousands of dollars. I paid thousands of dollars. Not thousands. I paid $1,000, $9.99 precisely, over 13 years ago, right? Close to 14 years ago, when I started investing in real estate, just to understand, Bitcoin is better than both. Well, this But then the day that you lose your Bitcoin, right? The day you lose it, I agree, right? I also put a little bit of money in Bitcoin. It started when it was 13,000 or even less, right? Put little change right there, right? But then I'm not going to tell a beginner investor to go put money in Bitcoin, understanding that it went all the way to 125,000 and today is at 75,000, right? So if you are bought at the high of 125,000, you can lose your money to 75,000, right? You lose your money, especially for a beginner investor. That is a demotivating factor for them. Okay, so whatever. So I appreciate what you said, Faith. It makes more sense if you are started at 13,000, right? You won't lose if you don't sell it. Absolutely, I agree with you. Totally, you don't lose it. It's a paper loss. But then think about somebody that is just beginning to invest, right? We don't talk about, you basically do not talk about, here it's about how you get your money, you invest your money safely, right? Protection first, right? This is not about a community of get rich quick scheme, right? What I teach is something that is stable. That's why you would see me talk about long-term investing, do rental or any other things, right? Safety, right? Because it's a strategy used by the multimillionaires and the billionaires to build wealth. Okay, so fade by 50, I appreciate that, but this is for people. Yes, this is not a Bitcoin community. Okay, I don't want to confuse my community, but really appreciate that Bitcoin is super risky, it is super tricky. Okay, and I do not want, so once we get to an advanced investor, people that are advanced in investing, then they can start making decision on either investing on Bitcoin or not. But right now, we're talking about what is steady, what is growing, and what is working. Okay, thank you so much, Faith. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the follow, and thank you all for tapping out the live. All right, back to what we were saying. So real estate, it helps you to build wealth the right way. Okay, 5, 6 paychecks, it's going to give you generational wealth, because when you don't sell it, you don't experience capital gain taxes, right? You do not, you have on, whenever you sell ETF, except you put it in your Roth IRA, whenever you sell any form of stock in the stock market, if it's in your Roth IRA, that's when it's not taxed. But if you put it in if you put it in your normal brokerage account, you pay something called capital gain taxes, right? But when it comes to real estate, right, you can still take out your money. There's a strategy where you take out your money, but it's not taxed. That's why you see the multimillionaires and the billionaires, they tell you, we never sell, right? You can take leverage. So think about it. You can do cash out refinance. You can do, what's it called? You can do cash out refinance. You can also do HELOC, home equity line of credit. You can do that where you have a whole line of credit, and then you can use that money to buy another kind of asset, and you start building your wealth through that means. It's steady. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not about hypes. It's less risky, right? Because guess what? Protection is number one thing here in this community. We are building a community called $1 Million League. $1 million in 10 years. That is what it is. 10 years might sound like a long time, but 45 years, working 9 to 5, it's not, that's what you start working at 20, you work till 65. That is 45 years. And people are doing it diligently for decades, and they're still doing it as of today. You probably are still doing that right now. But you can do all of it, grow your money, get to $1 million status or even more, right? Within 10 years. That's what this community, less risky, not slow, I would not say slow, steady growth, and that's what we're talking about real here. So the benefit of real estate, right, is cash flow. 2 is appreciation, leverage, and of course, but the downside of it is it requires some capital. It requires your credit. It requires education, okay? All of those things are the things that it does require, okay? All of those things are the things that it does require, okay? All right. So having said that, So those are the things that we talk about here. You want to build you want to build wealth the right way. ETF and real estate is going to help you do that. So for everyone, the truth of the matter is that a lot of times I get this every single time. And let's keep tapping out the life. I know we are locked in. Let's keep tapping out the life. Let's keep tapping out the life. Let's keep tapping out the light. Thank you so much for doing that. I know we are all locked in. Let's tap out the light. Let's get into 5,000 taps. And then we will not look at the differences. Tap out is you just tap the screen. It costs you nothing. And those on the YouTube, subscribe if you haven't. There's no tapping on the YouTube side. So just keep non-stop. Let's tap, tap, tap. Let's also power share. Push the forehead on the screen. You see your contact and then you share with them. Thank you all for tapping out the live. Thank you for you're all locked in. If you have not registered for the Smart Investing Workshop, it's on Saturday. There's a reason why there's smart behind it. It's not investing, right? There's smart investing such that you don't lose your money, but at the same time, you're growing your money. You're edging against inflation. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's something that is steady, but it's going to build you generational wealth, right? Less risky, but at the same time, of course, because it's less risky, it's also lesser return. The higher the risk, the higher the return, okay? Higher the risk, higher the return. So if you want something risky, that's a different thing. But if you just want something that you're not watching like clockwork, you don't need to watch, you don't need to check chats, you don't need to do all of that. Trust me, this is for you, okay? This is definitely for you, all right? You want to register for it. It's next week, Saturday, May 2nd. It's free, but registration is required, and you would find the link in my bio. Let me show you one more time for those that are just joining. Click on it. This is my bio. You see it next to .me. Click on that link. It would bring it. Click on open anyway, right there, and you'll find it right here. Smart Investing Workshop, right? Turn your income into wealth. It is very easy to invest. You do not need to stress yourself because you said it one time and you are good to go. Thank you all for tapping out the live. Thank you for doing that. I know we are all locked in. So the thing about it then is, which one builds wealth? Which one builds income, right? And which one should I start? Which one should I invest in? Understanding now you have the information in your hand. ETF is exchange traded fund, basket of stocks, right? And it's safe, right? It's returned 8 to 12% and above, 8% and above. Because if you put it in NASDAQ 100, if you put it in energy, it could grow into 40%, 30%. Well, the minimum is about 8%, which is the S&P 500. Now, here's the truth. It's not one, the truth that everybody has been waiting. Which one? Wale, welcome. And every other person, let's keep tapping out the life. Let's get it to 5,000. Let's get it to 5,000. We're talking about ETFs and real estate. That's what we're talking about. Which one builds wealth, the other one helps you to build income. Which one of the two? And which one should you put your money? Which one should you not? And if you're just meeting me, I'm Dr. Lina. I'm Doctor of Business and Technology. And I help professionals turn their 9 to 5, that their income, into real wealth. Understanding that if all that you do with your income is you use it to build, if you use it for depreciating lifestyle liability, you just keep working till 65 and you're tired. You wonder, what did I do with my life? But then if you put it towards asset like ETF, real estate, right, businesses, you realize that your money is going to grow, and then you have the options to live life at your own time. Work because you want to work, not because you have to work to pay bills, because those are two different things. And let's keep tapping out the life. Can we tap out the life so that we can now talk about, the question people ask me, so which one should I invest in? Which one? Right, let's keep tapping out the life. Can we all tap it out? Can we get it to 5,000? Can we all get it to 5,000? I know we are locked in. And then we'll wrap it up with, which one should I invest in first? Which one, or which one should I invest and which one should I not? Okay? Thank you all for tapping out the life. And for those that, if you have not gotten the Smart Investing Workshop, the free one, next week Saturday, we still have very, very limited seats right now. Very, at this point, just few. And yeah, and for all of you that have registered, you should have received an email. And in that email, it gives you instruction. Please follow that instruction so that you can follow the steps, right? And make sure you follow the steps and by step during the class. Let's keep tapping out the live. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you all for doing that. And if you have been here for more than 5 minutes, get your daily admin, right? 1 cent, it costs you 1 penny, 1 cent. That is nothing, right? It's nothing. People throw away 1 cent. They throw it away. It's not like it's money, right? So if you can, that would be great. And for your also if you can do some Go Populars, that would be great as well, because it just helps us. It just helps us here to get on the FYP. And if you can, yeah, just thank you so much for the roses. Thank you so much for that. The P5, really appreciate it. And let's keep tapping out the live. All right, let's keep tapping out the live. Let's get it to 5,000. Let's get it 5,000. Mayobi, Ogun, Arike, hey, user, the P5. Thank you all for doing that. And let's do power sharing. Press the 4 share with everyone within your contact. Let's get it to 10,000. 5,000. Today. Let's do that. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for doing that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the roses. Thank you for tapping out the live. So, great. So are we tapping out the live? I know we are all at work. Some of us at work, some of us, but I do this during the lunchtime. So I'm wondering, okay, Ogun J, congratulations. You just secured your future. You just bought yourself. You just invested in yourself. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. I know some people stepped out to go and do that. Congratulations to you. It's next Saturday. Please do not just register only. Be there. All right. Be there. Okay. All right. All right. And for anybody joining, we have a Smart Investing Workshop. It's going to be all about ETF, not real estate. I'm going to tell you, for those that are about real estate, I'm going to be showing you how to go about that shortly. Team ETF, team real estate, right? So now, the big question. So which one should you invest in? I get that every day. We don't pick and choose. There's something called diversification. We don't pick and choose, okay? We don't pick and choose. And for the seats, by the way, I think we just have maybe like 10 more. They just notify me that we just have about 10 more. So it's just going to be the 10. Once we get that, that is done, right? And then we close it out, right? So, but congratulations for those that we have just 10 seats left, 10 sets. Once that is done, it's done. So you don't want to miss out on the free training. You don't want to miss out on it. So we're not doing picking and choosing. No, we're not. We are basically doing one thing. We are basically instead of you saying you're choosing and picking, we are doing a flow, right? It's a flow. It's more like an order versus, should I invest in real estate? Should I invest in ETF? You should be more like, Dr. Lina, which one should I start first? Okay? ETF or real estate? So let's put it to rest. So which one should you start with? Right. And by the way, if you want to learn how to start investing step by step, we have the Smart Investing Workshop this Saturday, 12 noon Central Time. Get it registered. You'll find the link in the bio. It's free registration. We only have 10 seats left, and boom, it's gone. Right? Awesome. So basically, the difference it's more of the order. You start with what? You start with ETF. Then it's even this flow. You start with your income. Your income, you put some of it, you save it, you put it, where do you put it? First of all, you have your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of your living expenses is what you put there. That saves you in a case of emergency, basically, like it says. And then you now start going into investing. Of course, that's after you have cleared all those interest, all those high interest debt, any debt above 10%, right? That means you are taking care of that. Then you now go into smart investing, which is the ETF. You start with that because it doesn't require a lot to start, right? It doesn't require a lot to start. What does this mean? It doesn't, it's probably on today. You can still open the account, start funding the account. You can start with $1, you can start with $100. Whatever amount is so easy to enter. Easy entry, zero barrier. Just open the account and get it done. All right. So that's it. And then you just simply buy the ETFs. And that's why we're doing that smart investing workshop to get you started, right? Because it's a flow, right? Remember, it's a flow. Now, so that income, put it towards ETF, right? Put it IE savings account, emergency, then it goes pay off high interest, then you go into your ETF, right? Buy S&P 500, Nasdaq 100, dividend ETF, buy real estate ETF, whichever, just buy it, okay? But we do all of that in the smart workshop to guide you. How do you pick the right ones? What's good for your age? How to build your portfolio? That's the things that we're doing in the workshop, right? So you don't want to miss that. So once you have that, remember your money is growing, right? Every single time. Like last year, S&P 500 returned 18%. Remember, we said average of 8 to 12%. But last year, it returned 18%. Let's assume that you had 10,000. You were putting $1,000 every single month, right? Or you were putting, yeah, or maybe your goal was $10,000 last year or 2 years ago, $10,000. That's what your goal is. That's about 800. That's about $27 a day. That's what you were putting in every day. $27 a day. You got to $10,000. That $10,000 would have become between 11,800 to 12,800. Remember, when you are putting it in, you cannot buy real estate at that point because it's just 1,000. For you to buy real estate, you need at least 3%. That's the minimum if you are using conventional loan. And if you're using VA loan, it's even maybe less than that, right? That's the down payment that you need. But even your 3% is not going to be $1,000. So what do? You're putting that $1,000 every single month. And then it would have grown to 18, with 18%, would have grown your money to 12,000 by the end of the year. It's, with the 18% return. Now that you have $12,000, what do? It starts with $27 every day, right? That's 10,000. Then it grows. You got the growth from the ETF to $12,000. That is the down payment you need for real estate. Now, you might be like, okay, yeah. What am I going to be doing? Remember, when you're doing the ETF, it's so easy. You set it up, you're not doing anything. Passive. It's totally passive. You just see your money grow. Boom, done. Automation, everything. You do it one time, done. That's how it works. But real estate is active passive. So the period where you are building you're building the down payment automatically, growing it in ETF, you are getting the education that you need when it comes to real estate. Real estate, all that you need to to invest in real estate, with ETF, under 1 day you can do it. With real estate, I say at least 90 days. Because you need something called financing. Except you're doing cash, you're paying cash. You will need the bank to finance. You need your credit. You need, most importantly, your education. And then also you need your down payment, right? You need your down payment. Those are the things that you basically need when it comes to real estate, right? Those are the things that you need, and you do it in 90 days, right? So you are getting all of this education right when you are growing your money, and that is how you do it. Once you have your down payment, you take the action, you buy your first real estate property, you do it again, you start building the next money for the next down payment, put it in ETF, then grow it, buy it. That is how you do it. Guess what? It's just with your $27 a day. $27 is nothing compared to what some people spend on lunch and coffee every single day. That's why I put that $27 as the number right there for you. All right. So, and that's it. So it's not about picking or choosing. You want to build wealth, you want to have cash flow, you need to follow this cycle. Do it and go again. My Alista, welcome, and every other person here. Let's keep tapping out the like. Can we get it to 5,000? Can we? So it's a flow. So stop picking and choosing. The same way we're not picking stocks, we're doing a basket of stock diversification, right? Right? Getting a basket, that's the same thing. When it comes to real estate, that's our real estate and ETF. We're also diversifying because you help to stretch your risk. If there's something going on in real estate, you have your ETF to balance it. And then there's the third part of it. As you are growing and growing, you are also now going to put the next pillar, which is businesses, like all those laundromats, all those vending machine. I mean, it's okay. You can even put, so far you have all of those three. Those are like three foundation, like actually four pillars. Four pillars. One, your income. Which fund smart invested, then it goes into real estate, then it goes into businesses, because it gets to a point you're like, okay, so Dr. Lina, I'm doing this, I'm doing it every year. How come? What if I get to the number of my property? What else do I do? Then you start diversifying again. You look for businesses, right? You change it to, if you're doing single family home, you start doing multi, you start doing apartment. By that time, you have not just 1 million, you have millions of dollars in asset. And this asset, you can actually use this as a leverage. Where you go back to the bank and you say, bank, I have this, I have $3 million in asset, I have 1 million, I need to take 20% down. That's $200,000 there, right there. And that $200,000 is another down payment for that business that you want to buy. That is worth $1 million. That's how you move from $1 million to 2 million. That's how you transfer, you turn your $27 a day to $2 million over time. And that's the strategy that we teach here. Money Talk with Dr. Lina. Actually, the $1 million league. I just gave you the summary. $1 million league. How you can turn your income into $1 million in 10 years. Instead of you waiting for 45 years and still not go to get to the $1 million status. And now we're not even talking about your 401k, because your 401k is still there. No, that's not. We're just with your basic, what you have, how you can get it into $1 million status. So even at retirement, in 10 years, you can decide to say that now I have 1 million, I can decide to retire, because you are not selling those things. It's still there, right? You're not selling it, it's there, but it's giving you cash flow. You can say, okay, you know what? I can decide to retire. But guess what? You still have 401k at 65 or 59 and a half. That's still there. That is how you build not just wealth, but generational wealth. And that is what I teach. It's a flow. I teach a whole wealth building curriculum structure that if you use it, if Ogun uses it, Ogun Jume uses it, and the P5 uses the same strategies, and Franklin uses the same strategy, Mr. Gregory used the same strategy, Edem uses the same strategy, right? Ajay Mayobi, Mayalistic, Release, Maju, Arike, User, Africa Variety. If everybody uses the same strategy, you're going to get one thing. Following the same principle, you're going to get the same result, right? The same result. And that's what I teach here. So if you haven't registered for the Smart Investing Workshop, register for it. It's next Saturday. It's free. Registration is required. And for those people that you, and let me show you one more time. And if you have not followed, I don't know what you're doing, except you don't like $1 million. You can be the one that changed that story in your family. The first millionaire in the family, it starts with one person. Elon Musk's family wasn't a millionaire, but guess what? He's the richest man right now. He didn't get an inheritance. What's the other man, Mr. Amazon? I always forget his name, right? He did not, it wasn't from a wealthy, as a matter of fact, he started it from his garage. He did not get any answer from anybody. He did not get generational way. It's not a trust kid. But guess what? Is the second richest, right? The first two. So you don't have any reason why you cannot break that story. It takes one person within a family to say that, okay, in this our generation, we start becoming a millionaire. Millionaires are not created from another century. I just gave you a simple strategy right there for you. And this is not me, this is not a sales or whatever. Of course, Smart Investing Workshop is free, so you're not even paying me anything. So it's all up to you to say, I want to become that millionaire. It's build me not just a million, it's build me multi-million, right? So, and that's what I just teaching, because you will not take my own million, I will not take your own million. But the only thing is that I know that I've impacted life. I am reducing crime, because whether it's poverty, there is crime, right? Poverty is attached to crime because a woman that sees a child hungry would do anything, including anything and anything to make sure the child feeds. So, and that's why crime is always high in a poverty stricken zone. So that's me giving back to the society. That's the least I can do, right? Take it as a CSR, corporate social responsibility. How I can do it in my little way. And that's why I always say, tap out the light, because the goal is to reach as many people as possible. Teach them how to turn their income. Enough of, we have to work 45 years and then at 40, at 67, people are going back to stand at Walmart to work. Right? At old age, they're still going to trade their time for money when they are supposed to be rested. When you could have even done it at 55, when you are young, when you can still wear bikinis, when you can still travel the world, fulfill that purpose, that desire, right? That thing, right? You can still do it. But guess what? We work to 65, work to 67, waiting on our children to be our retirement plan because we don't even have plans for our 401k. We don't have, we have work. We just use it to impress others and to do things that are not necessary. So Smart Investing Workshop is next week, Saturday. It's free registration. As a matter of fact, we just have 10 seats left. 10, and I think 2 seats have already been taken. 8 more that is left, and it's free. Registration is required. So you see, it's nextyou.me. You see it right there. On my bio, click on Open Anyway. You would see it right here. Smart Investing Workshop, and you see it, turn your income into real wealth. It's a workshop, it's not a training workshop. So there's some requirement for you, that you need to take between now and Friday so that you can follow the step-by-step, hands-on in that workshop. So register if you haven't. Take your time to do it right now. If you need to step away, take your time. Take the slot of the 8 that is left. And for the real estate, I have been investing in real estate for the past close to 14 years, over a decade. I own and manage double digits real estate portfolio. And whenever I said not just a million, that I built multi-million, it's real estate was a majority part of it. As a matter of fact, I used it to reduce my taxable income this year. I got over $20,000 back from IRS using, depreciation, all of those kind of claims that I have. That's with a vice president position, vice president income, and also a lecturer income. So that's 2 incomes. And I'm able to still get how much back? Over $20,000, right? That's the beauty of real estate. So like I said, it's not just in ETF. You also want to have real estate. For that, you can have, you see it right here. You would see it right here. The real how to buy your real estate in 90 days, right? In 90 days, it's all that it takes. You find it right there. Once you follow the link, and I'll show it one more time as we're wrapping up, click on it. You see nextyou.me, and you would see it open anyway, and you would see it right there. This is the Smart Investing Workshop. This is the real estate, how to buy real estate in 90 days. Get it. It's a 4-module course. It is a course. It's different from the workshop. It's hands-on, but to buy the 90 days real estate system, buying real estate system, that is a course. It's a 4-module course. It's self-paced. It has the slides, and of course, so if you are somebody that is visual, you'll see it right there. It has the slides, and at the same time, it also has the video, right? The video, it's a 4 modules, so it's almost like 6 hours or whatever. So you can take it. It starts from, how do you even identify a property? Is this a good deal? Because people buy properties at ridiculous prices. How do you know that this is the right value of the property? Because that's the easiest way to fail, right? Fail on arrival. If you buy the property is supposed to be 300, and you buy it at 290,000. You buy it at 320,000. That's failure on arrival. I buy my properties. One of my secrets to success. 3 things. 3 things to my secrets to success in real estate: building double-digit real estate portfolio and investing multi-million, right? 3 things that has helped me. Number 1 is identifying the right property, right? Buying it as a discount. So I'm buying my property at 20% lower than the market value, right? Those are strategies you would find in the course. Another thing that you would then I would also be sharing, you have access to the closed community where I share all these deals as well, right? Because I have expanded right now. We're moving to the multi-unit and all of those commercial property, all those 1,000, 10,000 apartment units. That's what we are doing right now and building, right? And all of those movie theaters and all of those kind of things, commercial. That's where we're heavily progressing into, and buying all of those kind of things like McDonald's and franchise, all of those. That's where we're moving into, and I'm getting so much education. And guess what? Who is going to enjoy that, right? Whenever I get all of my education and started and doing all of that, it's going to be my community, the $1 Million League. This community, it's called the $1 Million League. So as a matter of fact, if you're investing in real estate, you find this, you're paying so much in taxes, you have any decent income, get that training. Yeah, I said yes. Get that training, right? Get that training for it's a 4-module course, and you would have access. You can ask me questions, for anybody that buys it in the life. In the life, you would also have access to the strategy call, right? 3 people that buys it. I always give 3 people that buys it in the call, because I also have limited 3 people that buys it in whenever I'm in a call, whenever I'm live, right? If you buy it, you would also have access to a free session with me. It's going to be grouped, so whoever are many people, you have a free session on specifically real estate. How do you identify the deal? So 3 things that I was saying that helps me, to have grown significantly at myself. It's number 1, identifying the right deals. So, and you will find that it starts with that, it starts with your mindset. That's the first thing. So we talked about that. But identifying the right deal and buying it at the right price, right? Failure arrival if you buy it at the wrong price, right? You buy it above the market value, you're already losing equity. You're also already losing, you're losing equity, you're losing part of appreciation. The second thing is rehab. If you do not, one of the things that people fail about is, because I buy most of the time, it's buy, fix, and flip. Sometimes I get to have turnkeys as well, right? But I do fix, I buy the ones that you need to fix. So you do the rehab and then increases the value or significantly by 40, 50,000, tens of thousands. That's part of the strategy that I use. And if you do not do the rehab, you don't get it right, you do some things wrong, it's also one of the things that would impact you significantly. That's how so many people have lost money in real estate. The other part of it, the last one, is property management. A lot of time people would say real estate, I'm not doing real estate because I don't want to lose, I don't want to, how do I put it? I don't want to, what was it? I don't want to be a slave to my tenant. How not to become a slave to your tenant? Things to avoid, right? Right. And people would say, oh, somebody has been in my house for 6 months, they are not paying rent. I'm like, how is that even possible? All of those things to guide against, and how to do property management. Remember, I own and manage. So I do property management, double-digit real estate portfolio. So who else do you want to learn from? More, right? More. So you should, right? Please do not go into real estate without getting education. Get the 90 days boot camp, even with your 9 to 5. I did all of this with 9 to 5. I still manage them till now, right? 9 to 5. I still had Airbnb, my 2 Airbnbs in my portfolio, right? That I was also managing. How did I do all of that? All of the structure, you will find it in the course, right? In the course. So you want to get that if you're investing in real estate, and if you're here, the 3 people that gets to make the purchase right here, they also get the strategy session free. Free strategy session comes with it. And what was the other thing that I wanted to say? Smart investing workshop, that totally free, register. And for everything is free. As a matter of fact, everything is free. For the rental, the bootcamp, you can easily take out you can use whatever fees, you can use it to reduce your taxes. Just keep the receipt, right? The other person used that, what's his name? Mr. Mike. I'm not sure if he's still here. He made a purchase and he's using the receipt to claim the taxes. Whatever, when I go into all of those professional fees, when I do some travels and all of that related to the business, I use it to, it's almost like free. I mean, it's basically free because I can use it to reduce my W-2. Is it I'm giving it to, is it I'm giving it to IRS, or I'm using it to develop myself? And I choose to use it to develop myself, right? So it's all up to you. It's all up to you. Adam, welcome. And let's keep tapping out there. Can we get it to 5,000? Thank you so much for doing that. And if you haven't, for the last time as we wrap up, if you haven't gotten the your access, right? Say it. If you haven't gotten it, click on here. Open anyway. And you'll find it right here. It's next week Saturday. It's free. We just have 8 more seats left. 8 more seats left, and we call it a day. 8 more seats left, and we call it a day. This is going to be on Zoom, not here. So registration is absolutely required. It's on Zoom, it's not here, and it's all of my community on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Everybody in a class. Like I said, it's a workshop. It is not. So you want to ensure, like I said, it's not about ETF. It's not about real estate. It's not about which one should I pick. It's basically about which one should you start for. Tammy, welcome. Which one should you start with first? Should we start with, you start with your income, then goes to your IELTS savings account, right, for your emergency fund. If you do not have if you already have an emergency fund, right, you're welcome. If you've not had an emergency fund, right, if you already have an emergency fund, you basically do not have to do anything, right? Just keep, right? Emergency fund is in your IE savings account, 3 to 5%, right? SoFi, Vero, Capital One, or any of those. And then you go into your high interest debt, any debt above 10%. If you don't have any debt, skip 2 and 3, right? Skip 2 and 3 and go straight to ETF. If you have any high interest debt above 10%, focus on the debt, right? Pay it off. Use avalanche method, use snowball method, or use debt consolidation to pay it off as quickly as possible, because you are paying so much in interest and it's taking away from your investing or your wealth, your growth. Okay. Then once you do that, go into ETF. Everything about ETF you find in this. We're talking about it. Smart Investing Workshop on Saturday, May the 2nd. It's free, but registration is required, and you will find it in my bio. You'll find the link in my bio. Register if you haven't done that. And then the next thing, once you have the down payment, right? You've saved in the ETF, it's grown, then you go into down payment, right? For your real estate, you put it towards your real estate investing, buy your first rental property, and start doing it. Do it again. The flow again, start it again. Trust me, that is how you buy back your time. That's how you gain financial freedom. Regardless of if you're earning $500,000, so far you're trading your time for money. You need to make sure that your money is the one working, not you working. Okay, your money. I mean, you be working, right? The more you do that, the more, right, you're growing your money, right? But freedom is the goal. Still live and enjoy life while you are still young, right? Travel the world while you're still young. Be with your kids while you're still young, not when you are old at 65, when all of those health and whatever, your body, right? I remember in Bora Bora, I was in Bora Bora 2 years ago, and I was with this couple from Canada. They're Indians. They own 77 Tim Hortons. I believe the Canadians knows it's the competition of Starbucks, and they have about 15 Popeyes franchises, right? That's what they own, to tell you how wealthy they are. But guess what? They said, I'm glad you are already enjoying this life at your young age. Yes, we have this money. We've been to Bora Bora. Bora Bora is pretty expensive. You need to look it up. But one of the absolutely places to visit, one of those private, very beautiful island with 112 shades of blues. It's beautiful, right? So, and they said they've been there like 3 times in that year. even though it's that expensive, we're talking about thousands and things and tens of thousands of dollars right there. That's what they have used. That's what they have done with that money. But they said it's not the same thing because now we don't have the body anymore. We don't have the strength anymore. We are just here. It's just like, okay, we are just sitting by the beach and we are just looking. We can't skydive. We can't parasail. We can't swim. We can't go all the way into the ocean. There's just the little that we can do. So enjoy your time while you're still young, right? And that's what financial freedom does. There's no amount of money. Of course, you know they are worth tens and tens of millions of dollars, right? You understand that they are worth tens and tens of millions of dollars. But that is what time. Time is money, right? A lot of time we always forget about that. The time that is gone. Today you have worked. This is 2:36 Central Time. If you had worked from 8 a.m. this morning, 8 a.m. shift till now, it means that you have traded 6 hours and almost 7 hours of your life. All right? April 27, that can never be regained. That's what you have done, right? While it's good, but put it towards assets that would cash flow. Put it towards growth. Use it to grow yourself, right? So that guess what? You get financial freedom. Financial freedom is the goal. It's not, money is not the goal. Congratulations, Enoch. You just made your purchase. Congratulations on securing your future. Any other any other people that want to get registered, start building wealth for themselves, not for themselves, not just for themselves alone, buying back their time, but also building generational wealth. If that's your goal, build generational wealth, have buy your time back, the freedom to live life at your own terms, not stuck to that 9 to 5. Do it because you genuinely want to do it. Let not another person control your time and your life, and whenever, the number of days you can, then you want to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. I always say invest in yourself, invest in the best, right? If you want to change the world, start with yourself, right? Start with yourself. All right, we'll be wrapping up here. I'll give it 2 more minutes. Any other question? If anybody have questions, Stephanie, welcome. If you have questions, can we tap it out to 10,000 to 5,000? Hi, how are you? Can we tap it out to 5,000? I know we are locked in. Can we tap it out? Thank you so much for the daily admin. You just do your daily admin like a clockwork, Stephanie. How are you doing? Mayobi, Mayalistic, Ajay, Tammy, Stephanie, Ogun, user, Maju. You still have a few more minutes. Anybody that wants to change their story, anybody that wants to ensure that they stop trading their time for money, right? Get it done in 10 years versus 45 years, right? Get it done. Get to that $1 million status in 10 years versus 45 years. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing because whatever fees that you pay, it's under professional fees whenever you go and file your taxes. If you buy property, it's free, right? It's basically free. It's just of you to either say you invest in yourself or you keep looking. Everybody wants to build wealth, but a lot of time people don't want to pay what it takes to build wealth. People are okay to do 9 to 5. People don't want to pay. They're like, oh, Dr. Lina, you have this right now. Dr. Lina, this, but then you don't know the price. You don't know the days when, it's a Christmas and I do not have any money during that Christmas. Why? That's because we just bought everything. We just bought a house, $245,000 on the 21st of December, and we had to pay cash for it. We bought it $245,000. But guess what? That Christmas, we did not. Thank God we had already bought Christmas gift for all the kids during the Black Friday. Otherwise, it would have been one of those Christmas that we're just looking at ourselves because we literally put the entire $245,000 cash to buy a property on the 21st, close on the 21st. But you don't know. That same property is what, at the same time we bought it, because we bought it at the same time, it was worth $320,000. We literally just put $2,500 just to paint it because it was pretty good. That property today rents for $2,400, the 1% rule, $2,400. I've rented for so many years, right? At $2,400, that's how it rents, right? Every single year. So $2,400 cash, right? So those are on the first, I'll be smiling. Nobody saw that sacrifice, but it is just about you being intentional To build wealth, it requires intentionality. You cannot say, oh, you know what? You cannot be expecting, do the same thing you're doing 9 to 5, like every other person did it for the past how many 100 decades, right? 9 to 5, you use it to pay bills, use it to fund lifestyle, and you're still doing the same thing. You expect a different result. Hell no, you will get the same result. You work till 65 and you still not build wealth. You will work till 65, still not build wealth. But then you have to do something drastic. You have to do something. You have to be intentional to say, you know what? Right? And I have not even gotten there. I am still building. Like I said, all those McDonald's, you see me in franchise and all of those shows and all of that, because I just also, that's the next thing. I just need to diversify. As we've done, I'm doing ETF, I'm doing real estate, I'm doing businesses, all of those kind of things, because at the end of the thing, I have those 4 pillars and I'm still working, right? But then I'm working because I want to work, not because I have to work. I am working because of course, my cash flow already pays for the lifestyle in itself, right? The lifestyle in itself. So I'm just working because I want to work, not because I have to work. And on top of that, at least my taxes that paid me over 20,000, that's enough to even pay most of my bills for another 2 months, or for another 2 months. That is free money. Those are things that you get with your real estate, right? With real estate. All right. Okay, so we wrap up here. Oh, I thought we were going to get to 5,000, but that's okay. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. If you haven't still gotten your smart investing workshop slot, go get it. Don't miss out. I think 3 people, so we have 7 slots left right now, 7 seats left, and that's it. 7 seats left, and that is it. But congratulations. And for everybody that registered, please clear your calendar. Be ready, be intentional, right? Be intentional about it and be there. Okay, be there. All right, I'll be wrapping up shortly. And yeah, don't forget to get your real estate bootcamp. Get for the people that have been asking about mentorship, we have the mentorship, the 90 days wealth building transformational mentorship. You have multiple sessions of one-on-one consultation, and of course, it's going to be that journey. You want to get to that 1 million in 10 years. You find it right there. And one-on-one consultation, you find that you have a particular question that you have, or you have something that you want to talk about,